The first part of the report, which is the introduction, talks to our constitutional responsibility. The first part says, in terms of section 42, subsection 4 of the Constitution, the NCOP represents the views of the provinces and its interests. And this bill, the Children's Amendment Bill B18B of 2020, which is a Section 76 bill in terms of the Constitution, was referred to our Portfolio Committee in terms of Rule 259, Sub-Rule 1. And in turn, the legislature, including its committees, has to ensure that in terms of Section 118, it facilitates the public involvement in the legislative process. So that's what we did when we embarked on our public hearings. The bill before the committee seeks to respond to the comprehensive legal solution relating to foster care challenges as ordered by the North Gauteng High Court. And the department had identified 12 clauses from All-Inclusive Children's Amendment Bill, which directly contribute to the comprehensive legal solution as directed by the High Court order. These clauses provide for a legal framework that directly addresses the identified foster care challenges resulting to the High Court's directives. And it seeks to strengthen the provisions of the Act of 2005, which is aimed at providing quality child protection system, of which foster care is the component thereof. Then the bill seeks to amend the Children's Act to amend and insert certain definitions, to extend the Children's Court jurisdiction, to further provide for the care of abandoned or orphaned children and additional matters that may be regulated, and to provide for additional matters relating to children in alternative care, as well as to provide for matters connected therewith. Then the method of work as to how we dealt with the bill. The committee held a special meeting on the 13th of September 2022 to receive a briefing from the Department of Social Development in terms of Rule 260 Sub-Rule 1. The committee then resolved to hold 6 public hearings which clustered all the 11 districts in order to avoid being challenged for poor consultation shortcomings that were found in the Lamusa matter. The committee then conducted 6 public hearings on the 11th of October at Mkanyagu district at Mbazwana Multipurpose Center, on the 18th of October, Amajuba districts at Osizweni Community Hall, on the 18th of October at eThekwini district, Umkumbane Community Hall, on the 21st of October at Umzinyati district, Great Town Hall, and the 22nd of October at Zululand district, Cecil Emmett Hall. Then the 25th of October at Herkwala district, Kokstad City Hall, and the closing date for written submissions was on the 27th of October at 4 p.m. The public hearings on the bill were widely advertised in the KwaZulu-Natal Legislature website, the print media, on the Witness, Daily News, Isolezwe, Sunday Times, and Ilanga newspapers, as well as on social networks. Then the copies of the bill were also distributed to all municipal districts and were also made available during the hearings. As expected, in all hearings, the members of the public had inquired about the exit plan for children who reach the age of 18, having not completed school and unemployed. There was an overwhelming suggestion that the minister must make regulations that provide for an exit plan for such children in relation to skills development as well as job opportunities. Generally, all stakeholders who attended the hearings fully supported the bill in its current state. There was only one joint written submission that was received by the committee as of the 27th of October. This came from the Children's Institute from the University of Cape Town, the Center for Child Law from the University of Pretoria, as well as the Children in Distress Network, which is called CINDI. and they generally supported the bill with further proposed amendments that are relevant to the bill as follows. The first amendment was in relation to the definition of a child in need of care and protection, as well as amending Clause 6, which amends Section 150, subsection 1 of the Principal Act. They are proposing that a child who has been abandoned or orphaned, it should be limited to that child who is not in care of a family member as defined in Section 1. So that part that is underlined is what this group is proposing as an amendment to both the definitions as well as Clause 6. The second amendment was the one that deals with orders when a child is found to be in need of care and protection, which is in Clause 8, which amends Section 156(1), subsection C, capital A of the Principal Act. Here they are proposing or recommending additional amendment to the clause by saying that in Clause 1A, capital A, it must read as follows: an order confirming or granting parental responsibilities and rights in terms of Section 21, 23, or 24 to a parent or family member caring for a child. There were concerns that if the child has been orphaned or abandoned and in care of a family member, the child will not be found to be in need of care and protection by the court. And Section 156(1)(c), capital A, placement order cannot be made. And they therefore recommend this proposed amendment to Section 46 to make it clear that the court can confirm or grant parental responsibilities and rights to family members without having to first make a Section 156 child protection order in court. Then the next proposal that they've made is the one that talks to duration and extension of alternative care orders that is found in Section 159, subsection 2, capital A of the Principal Act. They are recommending that it should read as follows. In 159(2)(a), in relation to orphaned or abandoned children placed in foster care with a family member, a court may A, make an interim extension of an order for a period not exceeding 6 months if such an extension is required to ensure the continued receipt of foster child grant by the child and foster parent concerned, or B, extend an order that has expired within the past 3 months on good cause shown, and if such an extension will be in the best interest of the child. Their motivation thereof is saying the amendment can only be necessary if social workers are unable to prepare the extension in time, which indicates the law is being stretched to compensate for a lack of implementation capacity and or lack of comprehensive legal solution aimed at reducing the foster care caseload. Then they're saying the amendment will be necessary if the comprehensive legal solution is in place and there is less demand for foster care, or if the foster care caseloads are reduced. There should be no reason for delays in reviewing and extending alternative care orders, and therefore there won't be a need for Section 159(a). They are, however, noting that the provision will not prevent SASSA from stopping payment of the FCG, which is a top-up grant, on the day the foster care order expires. And the amendment will ensure that the FCG will later be reinstated and backpaid when the extension order is finally submitted to SASSA. Then the FCG will therefore still lapse for a period of time. Then this provision is therefore not aimed at ensuring child continues to receive the FCG uninterrupted. Therefore, they are proposing this amendment to be restricted to cases of orphaned and abandoned children in the care of family members, and that a time limit be set on how long an order can be allowed to expire. Hence, the head underlined or inserted the words orphaned or abandoned in their proposal. Then in conclusion, Chair, we are saying the committee, having considered the above proposals and consent, agreed that they are valid and need to be part of the report, and as such must be referred to the select committee. The committee is therefore meeting today, the 28th of October, and I'm assuming that it will unanimously agree to support the bill, subject to the proposed amendments that are stated above being meticulously considered by the Department of Social Development, and the rejection thereof being motivated prior to the committee giving the final and voting mandate. Then the negotiating mandate, the template by Margaret that shows that the committee supports the bill with amendments will be annexed as Annexure A of this report. That is the end of the presentation, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our legal advisor, Daphne. Members, I hope that you had received the presentation, and Daphne has just also presented in the meeting. Are there any questions of clarity or any additions to the report? Honorable members, if you want to speak, just speak and then say your name, because I can't see your hand in this device because I'm using my phone.
Les Govender.
Honorable Les Govender.
Yes, Chair. I just want to query a few things. One is that, we raised certain questions during our interaction, and I don't see any of our concerns being raised in this negotiating mandate. For example, I was a bit concerned about some clarity on the amendment in the bill, section 1, where there is a suggestion, where 1B, where it says that the submission of a definition of cluster foster care scheme of the following definition, and then they go on to say organization and operated by a designated child protection organization or the provincial Department of Social Development. Now, my question at that time was, does this mean that NPOs are no longer allowed to operate a cluster foster care scheme? I don't know whether Daphne has some answer to that one, because there are NPOs that are operating cluster foster care homes. That was the one issue. Then the other issue that we had was with regard to the funding. Chair, you'll remember that the budget for this bill was done a long time ago, many years ago. Now, does the department still have the funding, or can Treasury give a go ahead to say that they will provide the funding to implement this amendment bill as it is now being stated? And then, Chair, I'm looking at the suggestion that was coming under 46 on the amendments that was read out now by Daphne, and as it is in this submission, where it says there is, and I'm just going to try and read that from the 46 1. A children's court may make the following orders, small a and capital B, an order confirming or granting parental responsibilities and rights in terms of subsection 21, 22, or 23 to a parent or family member caring for a child. Now, I can't see the need for a court order to grant a parental permission to a parent. It doesn't sound right to me, unless there's some legal jargon behind it. If maybe Daphne can give some kind of explanation to that. Then also, I had a bit of a concern with regard to clause 6 in the amendments, where they talk about a victim of child trafficking, and then they talk about a child who has been sold by a parent. Now, I don't know whether it is appropriate for us to put this into law, that a child sold by a parent. Are we not then going to encourage parents to sell children in order for them to make some money out of it? And will this not be equivalent to child trafficking? Whilst on the one hand we want to prevent child trafficking, but on the other hand now we are saying that in this law there will be a provision for a child to be sold. Chair, those were some of the issues that I had picked up, and I just want some clarity about that as to whether we cannot say something about those issues. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Chair, there was one issue that I felt somewhere, we should make a recommendation, because I don't know whether it's an oversight in the Act, but I see that I understand it's a Children's Amendment Act, but I don't know where in this bill, the abandonment of an infant, like a baby, will be addressed, or whether somehow it's taken that it's covered here, because sometimes you have mothers who abandon a newborn baby even at hospital. Because I remember a few years ago we had to actually craft a hospital a baby's abandonment policy, or abandoned babies policy in hospitals, and this was because it does happen. But babies or infants, from like day 1 to 28 days. And I feel that, we can just add it as a suggestion, that whether it's being omitted, whether the bill does cover it, or whether it's covered in the Principal Act maybe, and therefore is not part of this, because even those little infants, there should be a procedure of how and their foster care, sort of the plan, especially if they're abandoned by the mother and no one comes to take the baby.
Are you done, Honourable Member?
Yes, Honourable Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other one who wants to comment, or who have got a question of clarity? Okay, it seems as if we have got only 2 people at Daphne. I think I'm covered by some of the issues that were raised by Honourable Govender, because some of the things that we emphasized on, or the views of the people, I know that you explained, Daphne, and even the National Department explained, was the issue of the age. 18 years, because people, there were proposing that there must be an extension from 18 years to 21 years. Another thing is the issue of the financial of the bill being supported financial. Is it costed? Is this bill costed? Another one is the issue of social workers. I think, although that one is not amending, it's not part of the bill. It's not amending the bill, but maybe we can write it in our report that due to the fact that when you look at clause, I think it's clause 10. Is it clause 10 that talks about the that talks about the 2 years renewal?
Yes, Chair.
Yes. So we are running short of social workers. How is the social development going to make sure that each and every ward has got have got a social worker? In fact, not even one, because wards, we have got bigger wards. So we are running short of I don't know how we can put it, but you can see how you put it, the shortage of social workers. Because this bill, if you look at this bill, the people who will be making sure that it is implemented are social workers, but the department is running short of social workers. Those are the things that I wanted to raise.
Okay. May I respond, Chair?
Yes, you can respond.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, from the questions coming from Honorable Governor, yes, when you look at the amendments in the amendments in clause 1, subclause B, the honorable member is correct that the NPOs are now not going to be are going to be disallowed in terms of this bill to be engaging in as an organization that provides foster care to children. Instead, the bill says within 2 years, once this bill is passed and comes into operation, those NPOs will now have to register as what do they call them? They have to register as operating as a child protection organization.
In a child care center.
Yes, it will be designated as a child protection organization or a child care center. That's correct, but not in accordance to the NPO legislation. So those NPOs that are registered will now have to be registered as organizations that are handling child care protection, basically, and they will have to be recognized by the department as well. They'll have to be registered by the department. So the NPOs that are registered, that are operating as NPOs, will not now be recognized as such organizations. They have to re-register with the department. And then the issue of funding that both the chair and honorable governor raised, we'll see it in page 11 of the bill. I remember we did raise this issue that is there sufficient finances to implement the bill, and we had said we will question the amendment bill is actually implemented, and that would include the resourcing in terms of having the social workers, as the chairperson has indicated that we should recommend that. So it's already in the bill because it would not have been sent to the select committee and to provinces without the funding being secured with the Department of Treasury. So as it stands, there is sufficient finances to implement the bill. As I said, it's funded from 32.4 billion up to 58.3 billion in the financial year 2028 and 2029. So I think that issue is addressed adequately in the bill, unless the department says those funds are not sufficient. And then the other area raised by Honorable Governor is the one on clause 8, the proposal from this group. I agree, Honorable Chair, that we need to delete the word parent. This amendment should read as follows. It's an order confirming or granting parental responsibilities and rights in terms of section 21, 23, or 24 to a family member caring for a child. And we need to delete that word a parent, because you cannot grant a parental responsibilities to a parent. They are there naturally. And then that part about the child trafficking or the children that are sold by parents, this is not in the bill, Chair. You will recall in the presentation that I was giving, it was in the main explaining how do children get abandoned or uncared for, and that would include children that are trafficked and those that are sold by parents. In clause 11, I think that part was just saying that those children are now going to be, sorry, it's not clause 11, it's clause, they are protected by clause 10, which deals with that part about getting the court orders, meaning those children are now going to be placed, and also they'll get orders extended, but the period of 6 months should not be exceeded on good cause shown, and the fact that those that are having stability in the families where they are placed, there's no need for the foster parents to be running to court every 2 years to get extensions. So that part of the child trafficking or children that are sold by a parent is not in this law. It's not in any law, because such conduct is actually a criminal offense. And then Honorable Rajbansi is recommending that in the bill we should mention something about the abandonment of infants in hospitals and the likes. Honorable Chair, if I were to refer the honorable member to clause 1, where abandoned child is being defined, it's defined as meaning a child who has been deserted by a parent, guardian, or caregiver. And if this word child is covering infants from birth up till a child of the age of 18, so that is covered. There's no need for us to repeat the definition of an infant, because automatically when the child is born up till they are 18, they are regarded as children, and if they are abandoned, then they are defined as such in the bill. So that is covered in the bill. And the costing of the bill, as per the chairperson's question, again, that I've responded to that. We find that on page 11 of the bill. Then the question of age, that we need to increase the age from 18 to 21. Honorable members, you'll recall that previously we used to have the Child Care Act that was giving the majority age up till the age of 21. The majority age starting from the age of 21. So the child at the time was defined as someone between the age of 21 and less. And then when the children's Act came into operation, when it was consulted, everyone was saying we must reduce the age of majority to the age of 18. So the point is that we once had the act that said the majority age should be 21, but then that was reduced by the consultations when the Children's Act was promulgated, and everyone said the age should now be reduced to 18. So I don't know if members want us to go back to what the Child Care Act provided for, then we can make such a proposal. But this is found in the Principal Act of 2005, and it was through consultations that the age was reduced. So if the chair says we want to go back to age 25, I can add that part. I think Chair, I've answered all the questions. If there is an amendment and the committee strongly feels that we should amend the Principal Act to say a child is a person that is having the age up to 21, I can add that in our report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Daphne. Now it was just it was a question of clarity. I'm happy that you have explained, unless there is another member who have got another view. I'm happy with your explanation. However, Daphne, can you look at page 3 of the bill, clause 3? Clause
Yes,
3E. I think it's clause 3, section 45E.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, it says, by the substitution in subsection 3 for the words preceding paragraph A of the following words: pending the establishment of family courts by the Act of Parliament, the High Courts have exclusive jurisdiction over the following matters contemplated in this Act. This is just a question of clarity. Does it mean that can you just give me a clarity here in a lay person's words? Are we doing away with divorce courts? Because some of the matters are dealt with when a person is divorcing, and obviously in a divorce court, where a child now is going to have a single parent, maybe someone else has got to take care of the person. I just want to check whether, according to the bill, are we doing away with divorce courts, and then we prefer family courts?
No, Chair. Divorce courts will always be there, but what is happening in this amendment is that they are saying divorce courts are now not going to have jurisdiction over matters of foster care, but a normal divorce where parents are making arrangements in terms of the custodianship and guardianship of their children, they will be decided by the divorce courts. But on matters relating to foster care children, it will now only be the high courts, the family courts, as well as the children's courts that will be having jurisdiction over such matters. Because remember, the jurisdiction of the children's court has now been extended. Before, it was only the high court that could make decisions on such matters, but now the children's court will have jurisdiction to deal with foster care children matters. So the divorce courts are excluded here. As you'll see, it's in bold and in brackets. So divorce courts are excluded, but it will only be the high courts as well as the family courts once established, and also the children's court will deal with such. You'll see on in clause 2 on top, it says any person have an interest in the care, well-being and development of a child may apply to the High Court or Children's Court for an order granting guardianship of the child. So the Children's Court have been given the jurisdiction, and the divorce courts have been excluded, or the jurisdiction on foster care matters have been excluded in the divorce courts. I'm not sure if I explained it.
Yes, I understand. Another question of clarity is the amendment is clause 9 that seeks to amend section 157 of the Act 38 of 2005. I think it's section 157E. Can you go to E? Where it reads, by the substitution for subsection 3 of the following subsection.
Yes, Chair, I can see that.
3, yes, a child who is 3 years of age or less has been orphaned
or abandoned. Yes, Chair. In fact, that also answers that question by Honorable Rajbansi. Before they were saying a very young child, but you know where do you limit a very young child? Now they're being specific that if a child is 3 years of age or less, who has been orphaned or abandoned, will be made available for adoption in the prescribed manner. And you recall, Chair, since
if a child is 4 years or 5 years and is abandoned because that it's still that is still a child.
Yes, Chair, it's still a young child, but the process of its adoption will be different to the one where we're dealing with infants or babies of the age of 3 or less. So there's going to be a prescribed manner in which an infant or a baby of 3 years or a toddler basically will be dealt with when they're being adopted, vis-a-vis when a child of 4 years and up are being adopted.
Yeah. I think there should be a definition of a toddler. What is a toddler? and what is an infant? I don't know whether it is explained in the Principal Act.
No, Chair, they're not explained because we only define the words that are used in the body of the Act. So a word like a toddler or an infant, here they've said a child who is 3 years of age or less. And basically the Act talks about a child. Hence the child is defined in the Act that it's someone of 18 years or less. And then here they've removed a very young child and said a child who's 3 years of age or less, meaning this is covering toddlers, infants to toddlers, basically, young children. So there's no need for us to ask for it to be defined further because it's already in the Act and in this bill.
What I don't understand, Daphne, is that why a toddler is being separated from a child who is 18 years and below 18 years. when we say a foster child is 18 years, from 0 to 18 years. I don't know whether I don't know.
Yes, Chair, I do understand your question. Chair, in this amendment, they are looking at ways in which these children can be adopted. And it has to be in a certain prescribed manner, which will be in the regulations. Because a young baby, an infant or a toddler is, vulnerable. I'm not saying a 16-year-old is not vulnerable, but there will be a way in which these are dealt with. And as I mentioned, that the bill, the initial bill with 146 clauses will be dealing specifically with issues of adoption, issues of fathers having custody and all those things. So there'll be a specific way in which those young babies are being adopted. There'll be a prescribed manner in the regulations as to how we deal with adopting the children of such young ages, from age 3 downwards to a newborn.
Okay, honorable members, are you fine with the explanations?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
I'm satisfied with the explanations, Chair.
Okay. And Daphne, is there anyone? Honorable Kwanyana? Honorable Kwanyana?
I'm satisfied, Chair, with everything.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. Daphne, what is the procedure? How do we adopt the report? Do we vote as per party or individual?
Thanks, Chair. Chair, since it's a virtual meeting, it can be either of the two, per party or per member. And I'm mindful of the fact that when the committee adopts the report, it will be adopted subject to that correction or that amendment where we are removing the word a parent in the proposed amendments. So, Chair, you can call members by party or individually. But considering that you are driving, maybe let's just do it per party. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Can we hear IFP?
Yeah, the IFP will support the negotiating mandate with the amendments that we have just proposed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable member. EFF? Chairperson, EFF support the amendment of the bill. DA?
Chairperson, DA supports with amendments. Thank you.
ANC?
ANC supports the amendments, Chair.
Thank you. Who is left out? Is there any other any party?
Yes, Honorable Chair, Mr.
on
Belze.
MF?
Yeah, the MF supports the negotiating mandate with the amendments on behalf of also all the other minority parties. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's no party that have left out.
No, Chair. I think all of them have voted in support.
Okay. That means all the parties have voted in support of the amendment bill with the amendment that you have just mentioned in the report.
Yes, Chair. I will quickly amend and send the report through to you for your signature, Chair, because it has to be in Cape Town on Monday latest. I think the meeting is on the 1st of November, the select committee meeting.
Okay. Is there anyone who is in Durban who can just bring this thing, because I'll be sleeping over for today in Durban so that it's easy for me to sign. Daphne,
Chair,
can,
I
can,
live
can
in
you send someone? Is there anyone who you can send who lives
Noctula.
in Durban?
Noctula, our cluster manager, lives in Durban, but I'm not sure if she's in Durban today. But I think it's within her powers to delegate someone to do that, Chair.
Okay. Let us just arrange that outside of the meeting.
Yes, Chair.
I think we've come to the end of the meeting, honorable members. Honorable members, this was just a special meeting where we are supposed to look at the children's amendment bill, and whether and also indicate whether we agree or we don't agree, or we abstain from from we are not supporting the bill, or we are abstaining. But it seems as if we at the moment, as the committee, we do support the bill with the amendments that have been mentioned by the Daphne. I think we have come to the end of the meeting. I don't know whether Nonko is here. Nonko?
Yes, Chairperson, I am here.
Okay. Nonko, it is not going to be a long thing. Just tell us which countries did we identify for the study tour, and when is our study tour? Because I was going to also propose that maybe moving forward we add members to the a subcommittee. We had established a subcommittee, but I think some of the members they were redeployed to other committees. How far have you gone with your research, and which countries we're saying we're identifying?
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the work, I have done the work, Chair. But today I was made aware that there are challenges with Rwanda, so we can no longer for now, can no longer say Rwanda is one of the countries that we are going to be visiting, pending their approval. So I had to add more countries to ensure that even when we send our application to DECO, if the other countries do not accept us, we have other countries that can accept us. In the last meeting that we had with the subcom, the countries that they had agreed on was Sweden, which I now understand the Committee on Health is also looking at visiting Sweden. So because of that, I had to look for another country as well that would be added to our list. So the countries that we are looking at now, Chair, is Netherlands, Switzerland, and then Syria. And then in the African countries, we're looking at Cameroon, Algeria, and Libya.
Okay, is Syria in Africa?
No, it's actually in the Middle East, Chair. It's in Asia.
Okay. I think my proposal can you add France?
Okay, Chair. I will do that, Chair. And on the proposed draft program for the study tour, social development is proposed to travel in May next year.
Honorable members, are you happy with the countries that have been identified? France, Netherlands, Switzerland, Syria, and then in Africa, you said which countries?
I said Cameroon, Chair, Algeria, and Libya.
Cameroon, Algeria, and Libya.
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 Yes, Libya.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chair, if I may come in.
Yes, Honorable Governor.
Yeah, Chair. No, I'm happy with the European countries. In Africa, I'm happy with those countries, but I'd like to caution with regard to Syria, because right now there's a lot of terrorist activity, as well as in some parts of Syria there's some fighting going on. So I would caution that we reconsider Syria. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, since it's an Arab country. Okay. At the moment, let us say Nongo must work on this on these countries, and then come back to us in the next meeting.
Noted, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, Chair, if I may just say, it doesn't mean that if another portfolio is thinking of going to a certain country, that we should hold back. If we can beat them to it and get our ducks in a row before they do, then we can still go to that country. We should not look at alternatives. We should rather do our groundwork as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm. It's okay, because with Syria we also had a contact from Syria, and I met with the Minister of Social Development and Miriam, who is in the embassy of Syria. So at that moment when we met, it was the fifth global conference on child labor when we met. So they agreed that we can visit their country, but we'll look at what you are saying, Honorable Governor. Honorable members, I think we have come to the end of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Chair. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members.
Thank you.